Welcome. Pleasure to have you here. Most people, much like I was, try to do intimacy, to function sexually, and to earn more pleasure. We rarely have been actually learning how to feel in our bodies and our relationship first. No wonder that nothing really changes. So, if this is you, today's practice is meant for you. Before we talk about arousal or orgasm or better sex, I want to show you something even more fundamental. This practice you're just going to do is part of my online course, Libido Lab, created for bodies that have been shaped, adapted, and socialized over time, which is all of us. It's a guided exploration into anatomy of pleasure and arousal. And the beautiful thing is, you can do it alone or with a partner. This practice already helped so many women and partner couples to change the way they experience pleasure with themselves and with each other. So let's start by arriving in the body. I invite you to stay seated or standing up. Maybe you would like to close your eyes or look at one point on the floor or on the ceiling. Noticing if you can bring even 5% more of comfortableness to your body. So is it by maybe sinking down deeper to the chair or moving the pillow? Maybe it's by releasing your shoulders or even releasing a button in the pants. Whatever it might be to give yourself extra ease. And I invite you to notice your feet, if they're connected to the ground or to the chair. Trying to bring extra softness to the eyes if they're a bit dancing inside, even if they're closed or just looking at one point. Slowly I invite you to notice your breath. You're invited to, notice this moment where the air comes in. Is it from your nose or your mouth? And the moment the air comes out, which temperature it has. And if you'd like, I invite you to try to extend your exhales. So maybe taking an inhale from the nose and taking even a longer, softer exhale from the mouth. If you'd like to experiment with me doing it a few more times, inhaling from the nose and softer, longer exhale from the mouth. And another time, inhale from the nose. Releasing the tension in the jaw and the eyebrows as we exhale. And I invite you, if you haven't already, to notice if there's a place in your body who could use some extra support right now. Maybe by breathing to that area, or maybe by putting a hand there. Could be on the face, neck, chest, belly or womb, or anywhere else. And for 3 more seconds of breath, just being there, not trying to force it or change it, rather accepting the tension or the contraction or the numbness that might be there. It's just neutral, present touch without any goal. With inhale and exhale. Taking another inhale here. And exactly as you are, you're invited to keep your hand there or let it go. And acknowledging also that wherever you're seated, even though we're in different places all over the world, we are sharing this practice together. Putting hands on similar or different parts of the body, sharing breath at the same time. So if you'd like, we can share a breath as a community, taking an inhale together and a slow exhale, perhaps with a sound. And again, inhale and exhale. And I invite you to notice, before we bring this practice to a close, if there's any movement specifically that your body wants. Could be very big, could be very small, perhaps from the hips or the neck, maybe the shoulders. It might be swaying, rocking, stretching, or something very minimal and barely visible. Taking a last inhale here. And on the exhale, coming back to yourself. If you want to close your eyes or change your body posture. Anything else your body needs before we start the session? Taking a last inhale here. Okay. Sweet. When we do talk about pleasure and the anatomy of pleasure, the nervous system is the basic of it. Okay? And I want us to first know a bit about our anatomy. And I want to kind of talk about it, that arousal is non-linear. So the clitoris is exactly what she said, it's the tip of the iceberg. Usually in most of us vulvas, and you can, if you want, you can, while I'm talking, you can even check your own vulvas. What we have is we only see this tip, and we have here the hood that's hiding it. But essentially what we actually have is this entire structure. So behind the outer livia, so the outer lips and the inner lips, we have the legs of the clitoris. And this is why when we engorge, when people are just focusing on this, they're missing out on so many nerve endings that are hiding behind of this. Way more nerve ending than even a penis. So most of this is internal, which is astonishing. That was only found quite recently. And the bulbs, this is the bulbs, which are equivalent to the balls of a penis. So how much sensitive they are. The bulbs, look how different. So this is a flaccid, so meaning non-erectile clitoris, and this is erect, meaning when we're engorged, when we're aroused. So the bulb are really swallowing with a lot of blood, a lot of oxygen floating there. So I think it's first really important to know this structure, and I'm saying it very in a nutshell. If you want, I can send you much more video and information about it. And also know that it is erectile tissue. And talking about I shared it a bit last week, my story about shame of my vulva is that I felt really guilty when I started to be really aroused, that my clit started to be really hard. And I thought, oh my God, I'm really masculine. I'm really like, oh my God, who wants to be with me? Da, 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 da. But then I learned my biology and I was like, oh, fuck. So learning this and learning the nervous system in relation to this makes us understand how much we need to have a lot of oxygen and blood flow and movement to bring much more circulation, to bring this engorgement, to bring this to state of safer conscious arousal, and therefore to become erect and ready for sexual activation. So I think it's just really interesting. Another question for you, again, in this laboratory mind, is what did you learn about being aroused and how your arousal should look and sound like? If you have any limited beliefs about the vulva or being erect, or how should I sound when I'm engaging sexually with myself or with another persons. It's another beautiful thing to inquire. Taking a breath here, noticing what comes to you when I say that. So now let's practice. Everything is optional for this practice, kind of like a genital meditation in a way. So you're invited to even just listen
or to do it with me. And remember that everything is optional. You always have choice, how much to participate, if any. And I invite you to find a position that is comfortable for you to do this practice. Laying down or seated, even standing. There is no correct way to do this practice. And I invite you to just be, the only thing you do need is to find a way, if you want, that you be comfortable to reach into your genitals with your hand. And you're welcome to do this practice fully closed. You know, you can put your hand on your pants on the area of the pelvic, or you can do it partially closed or naked. Whatever feels safest for you right now in your nervous system, as we already talked about. Whatever feels appropriate and accessible for you right now. Remember that this practice is also recorded, so you can also do it by yourself in your own time, pausing me and coming back. And I'm going to demonstrate on my beautiful 3D vulva print, but you can watch it or just follow the guidance by listening to me. So first, I invite you to first cup your genital with your hand. So using your hand as a cup, just putting all over your vulva, so the entire organ. And this touch should be feeling neutral, supportive, nothing very arousing or demanding. And I invite us to take a few slow breaths here. So we're harvesting the first practice of the regulation together with the genital meditation. Taking an inhale, and on the exhale, imagining the oxygen traveling down to your pelvic, to your vulva. As you inhale, you might imagine your genital expanding or opening. And as you exhale, you might imagine gently settling back. Again, we're just cupping here the vulva, noticing the feeling of the hand on the vulva, the temperature that might be a bit warm, sensation like tingling or grounding. Noticing the weight of the hand, the pressure. Remember that even no sensation or numbing is also a sensation. Just creating awareness for the practice. Taking another inhale here. And you are either invited to stay exactly here if you want. And if you prefer, I invite you to move with me to a stroking. So kind of touch. On your next inhale, you might want to put one hand slowly with a stroke. And remember, the stroke should be feeling neutral, interesting, curious, but also pleasure or arousal is welcome here, but it's not a goal to achieve. So let's choose one kind of stroke and move really slowly and repetitive. And I'm going to demonstrate one, but you might do something else. I'm using an open palm and I'm gently stroking upward towards the belly. So from down, from the vagina, up on the skin's gland to the clit and up towards the belly. And I'm doing it very slow. You can also alternate the hands if you want. Again, remember you can do it on your clothes, on your body. Even over a blanket if you need another extra layer, and even just practicing hearing me. The practice could also be a practice of itself. Finding your own tempo, pace, and shape of the stroking. Noticing, again, checking with your nervous system. How is your breath? What are you noticing in your body? Making sure we're not disassociating or zoning out or numbing. That we're still feeling our breath, our body temperature, and any other sensation throughout the body. Sensation in the genital, sensation in your hand could be also anchors of what we're noticing to make sure we're still regulated, upregulated, or connected. So we're either in yellow or in green now, or somewhere in between. And I remind us there is nothing we need to feel as we are exploring the stroke. You might feel aroused, you might don't. You might feel pleasure or nothing, neutral or a mix. And what would be really interesting if to notice any habits come up, like wanting to do it faster or harder, or a specific movement or place that you're aware of, usually on the clit for some of us, or in the vagina entrance. And then, like any meditation, coming back to the stroke, coming back to the kind of touch and the pace that you are exploring right now, coming back to the breath and the sensation. Remember that if you always have a choice, so if in any time it feels too much, you can do it slower or stop. And if you notice any lack of sensation, this is also welcome. This is also somatic information that we're receiving. And if we accept it, it creates more capacity to sensation over time. Staying with whatever is this, whatever is there, with our breath. Taking a last inhale here. Slowly we are slowing down the stroke if we did it. On the next inhale, we return our hands gently to the cupping position on the genital. Slowly letting your body just lean back, the nervous system to glide down the scale. Notice any changes, subtle ones or obvious ones, in your breath, in your body. We'll slowly bring this practice to a close. You're welcome to stay exactly as you are. You might want to integrate it by putting a hand on somewhere in your body, or maybe shake, or maybe stretch, whatever it is for you, as you slowly transition back to me. To the group, as we slowly bringing this session almost to a close. Any experience is welcome. What did you notice? Where did you notice it? Any shame or any awkwardness or any pleasure or anything in between. So maybe you want to ground back now by feeling into your feet or noticing the room that you're in. And taking another breath here as we move into closing.
And as we slowly bring this practice to a close, if there is one takeaway you can take from this, is that pleasure is not just with a technique by ourselves or with our partner. It starts with safety. And it's something that we can definitely access and practice. Something we can create with ourselves, with our partners and lovers. Before we talk about orgasm or having better sex, we need to feel safe in order to have pleasure. And a lot of people realize at this stage, I don't even know how to ask for what I need in order to feel safe, or I don't know even how to communicate my needs with my partner. And that's exactly the next step after this practice. Because you might understand you need safety. to explore your pleasure, your eroticism in your body, but how to actually do that. And maybe you need just a container to practice it. So next month, I'm opening my Partner Libido Lab course. It's a deeper course for couples or people in any kind of intimate relationship who wants to go together to get real tools, evidence-based practices to access much more pleasure, lust, and safety in your bodies and in your relationship. You can check the link in the description where you can also book a free discovery call with me. And I want to end by thank you, truly, for your time, for your trust, for the willingness to step at something that is super vulnerable and uncomfortable. You could be doing so many things, and you chose to do this with yourself or with your partner. So thank you. Take a moment to thank yourself. And if you have been doing this with a partner, then also with them. Looking forward to see you in the next time.